we'll keep getting pushback. I mean, the Sierra Club was coming after us, the environmental groups coming after us, but we're going to keep our heads down and keep pushing this forward and hope by the end of the year we can get in some kind of a package. We can get it on President Biden's desk.
It's Dave and Allie's mini morning show. If you can't take 4 hours of them, perhaps you'll enjoy this bite-sized version.
So much to talk about this morning. Let's start off with your bills. I saw you had a couple of forestry bills that got out of committee. Tell us about those.
You know, Dave, this is a battle of 8 years that we've had against the radical environmental groups who are suing to stop these forest management projects we have across Montana. Think about this. We have over 300 million board feet of timber, 25 lawsuits. What happens is they have these collaboratives that have, we have conservation groups, we've got wildlife groups, we've got wood products groups, we've got city officials, county officials that say, hey, we got to come together and treat our forests because if we don't, they're going to burn. And we're sick and tired of breathing the smoke. It improves wildlife habitat, improves watersheds, it gives work to loggers, it gives tax revenues to counties, and it reduces the risk of catastrophic wildfires. So we go through this process, and then once we get them approved, these radical environmentalists litigate them. So what we have passed here just last week in this Energy and Resources Committee on a 16-4 vote, this is a bipartisan vote, they got my bill through committee, which basically would end the practice of doing that. So it's a breakthrough. It's been 8 years battling this, Dave, but I know so many Montanans are sick and tired of seeing the smoke and the forest fires in the summertime. It'll not eliminate all the fires, but you either are going to manage the forest or the forest are going to manage us, and right now we're getting managed by our forest because these environmentalists want to keep us out. The lawyers are in the forest. The loggers have been kicked out.
So are you anticipating any pushback on this? It's out of committee. Well, once it gets to the floor.
Yeah, no, we'll keep getting pushback. I mean, the Sierra Club was coming after us, the environmental groups coming after us, but we're going to keep our heads down and keep pushing this forward and hope by the end of the year we can get in some kind of a package. We can get it on President Biden's desk. But it never comes easy because we're battling the holy grail of the far left. And they're fighting, we're fighting, but it was nice to see a win last week.
Yeah, that's great. We're talking with Senator Steve Daines this morning here on the K-Sky Morning Show.
And this morning, were we able to get those GDP numbers?
Yeah, have you seen them yet?
No.
I have not.
Yeah, well, we are in a recession. So the breaking news coming out here about a half hour ago, officially announced the economy in Q2 contracted 0.9%. That's on top of a minus 1.6%, correct number from Q1. And I literally looked online because Joe Biden and the Democrats are saying, well, we kind of have to redefine recession. Just go look up the word recession. You have 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. That's a recession. The White House kept telling us, now we're going to see economic growth in Q2. Listen, we're in a recession. And this is what's crazy at the moment is the Democrats just announced late last night that they're planning to raise taxes nearly $800 billion. This is the latest bill coming out of Schumer that we'll be battling here over the course of the next week in the midst of a recession, high gas prices, record inflation. They've got a mess on their hands. The worst thing you want to do is raise taxes and invest in more of the Green New Deal, which is all part of the reason we have high energy costs, because we want to keep funding everything with windmills and solar panels instead of oil, natural gas, and coal.
So did Manchin sign off? Is that the one that Manchin signed off on?
It is. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. They announced it was like a surprise attack last night, Dave. I mean, we were assuming this thing was dead as a hammer, and boy, you never give up the fight because here they go. They announced it, but can you imagine raising taxes, spending more money on climate craziness at a time when we've got record high gas prices, inflation, and now officially we're in a recession?
Well, I love the fact that they're trying to frame it like, hey, we've brought down gas like 40 cents. It's like, no, gas is up like $2.50.
Yeah, well, it only cost me $115 to fill up my pickup, not $150. I feel so much better now.
Yeah, no kidding. I want to ask you, I just saw this morning, Senator Tester. He was upset. I guess there was some legislation that was blocked for veterans, and it's my understanding that they had tried to put in some other, what they call poison pills in there just before the vote. Can you explain what that's all about?
Here's what happened. Is first of all, My dad's a Marine. He's a veteran. In fact, Billings, Montana. Lived in Bozeman since 1964. My father-in-law, 90 years old, he's also a veteran, lives in Bozeman Air Force. So I support the veterans. Always have, always will, no question. But what they were using a budgeting gimmick to fund this, basically it's a burn pit bill. It's going to ensure that our veterans who contracted diseases and sicknesses from burn pits over the years are taken care of. I have no problem with the merits of the bill as it relates to what we're trying to help our veterans, yes. However, they were using a budgeting gimmick. So this is about like a $400 billion budgeting gimmick that in essence will allow the left to spend more money on their far-left priorities. Let's get the spending process right, and we're all going to support this. But this is what they tried to pass last night, and that's why we stopped it. So it's not the merits of the bill, it's the budgeting gimmick they're using to pay for it.
Talking with Senator Steve Daines this morning. Final question for you, Senator. You had a quote last week, which raised some eyebrows, I thought, when you said we're like one vote away from gun confiscation in the United States. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's not hyperbole. That's the truth. Think about this for a moment. As listeners here in K-Sky know, we had a big Senate race against Governor Bullock back in 2020. It was the most expensive political race in the history of America on a per-vote basis. $210 million spent for a political race in Montana. I was outspent by $50 million in that election, and thankfully, the people of Montana, we worked together. We beat Steve Bullock by 10 points. But had we lost that race, the Democrats would be blowing up the filibuster. You wouldn't be talking about Joe Manchin anymore possibly stopping something. They would blow up the filibuster. They would be moving forward right now as we speak with gun confiscation legislation. They probably take particular platforms. They don't even know what an assault rifle is. They just throw out these names without even understanding guns in the first place. But we are just one vote away. That's why this next election is so important, that the people of Montana and the people of America send a really strong message back to this crazy, insane place called D.C. to say we've got to go in a different direction.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing for us back there. Senator Steve Daines talking to us today. Thank you very much for your time, Senator, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Allie.
Want more Dave and Allie? Be sure to subscribe and follow them wherever you get your podcasts. Or join them on Facebook at Dave and Allie. And be sure to listen to them weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on K-Sky 106.9.